Welcome, my friends. It is a true joy to have you with me for this explainer today. You know, if you have ever tossed and turned just watching the moonlight slowly crawl across your ceiling, well, you know exactly how precious a good night of rest truly is. Today, we aren't just talking about sleep. No, we're embarking on a beautiful 24-hour journey. We're going to explore the daily rhythms that invite deep, restorative sleep right back into our lives. Let's get started.
Here is our roadmap for the day. We'll start with what sleep hygiene actually is, then master your daytime habits, look at the evening wind down, craft the perfect bedroom, and finally, talk about surviving those sleepless nights.
Section 1. What is sleep hygiene? The foundation of good rest. So, sleep hygiene. It simply means good sleep habits. But you see, the real magic in this concept lies right there in the second half. Long-term solutions. Researchers have spent years, absolutely years, developing these guidelines. And why? Because the evidence shows they actually work. We're not talking about quick tricks here. These are solid strategies that offer genuine, lasting peace for your mind and your body. Now you might be wondering, hey, why not just take a sleeping pill and be done with it? Well, medications can definitely be effective in the short term, sure. But ongoing use, it carries a real risk of dependence. Plus, it actually gets in the way of your body developing its own good habits independent of the medication. Sleep hygiene, on the other hand, gives the power right back to you. It builds a healthy, strong foundation that lasts. So, let me ask you a question. How does a good night's sleep actually begin the very moment you open your eyes in the morning? It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? Because we almost always think sleep is just about the night. Section 2. Mastering your daytime habits. Setting the rhythm of your day.
Listen, the absolute best way to train your body to sleep well is consistency. You've got to go to bed and wake up at the exact same time every single day. Yes, my friends, even on the weekends. And here's the tricky part. If you have a terrible night of sleep, you must keep your daytime routine exactly the same. Don't go avoiding your daily activities just because you're tired, because that actually reinforces the insomnia. Instead, take a refreshing morning walk. And as for daytime naps, well, it is truly best to avoid them, so you are genuinely tired at night. But if you absolutely must nap, keep it under an hour, and always before 3 p.m.
We also need to be very mindful about what we invite into our bodies later in the day. You really need to cut off certain substances about 4 to 6 hours before going to bed. Caffeine is the famous culprit here, right? It's in coffee, tea, cola, and even chocolate. Nicotine is another huge one. It's a powerful stimulant that actively stops you from falling asleep. You see, these things trick your body into thinking it is time to work, right at the exact moment it should be preparing to rest.
Now, let's talk about the grand illusion of alcohol. So many people will have a glass of wine or a drink because they truly believe it relaxes them and helps them get to sleep. And sure, while it might make you feel a bit drowsy at first, the science tells us a very, very different story. Alcohol deeply interrupts the true quality of your sleep throughout the night. It is a false friend to a good night's rest, my friends, so make sure to avoid it for at least 4 to 6 hours before bed.
All right, the day is now done. The sun is setting. How should you prepare your body and your mind for that big transition from the busy day into the quiet night?
Section 3. The evening wind down. Rituals for relaxation. You know, you can actually develop your own unique rituals to send a clear, undeniable message to your body that sleep is coming. It could be 15 minutes of gentle breathing exercises, or maybe just sitting quietly with a warm cup of caffeine-free tea. But here is a truly fascinating piece of human biology for you. Taking a hot bath 1 to 2 hours before bed is incredibly effective. Why? Well, the hot water raises your core temperature, and when you step out, your body temperature naturally drops. And research shows that this specific drop in temperature is exactly what triggers those heavy, sleepy feelings.
We've got to talk about food, too. A heavy meal right before bed, that's going to force your body to work incredibly hard at digesting when it really should be resting, and that totally interrupts sleep. On the flip side, an empty, rumbling stomach can be incredibly distracting, so the balance is to have a very light snack if you need it. And there is deep, ancient wisdom in the tradition of a warm glass of milk. It actually contains an amino acid called tryptophan, which acts as a completely natural sleep inducer for the body.
Okay, so you've wound down, you're nice and relaxed, and you finally walk right into your bedroom. What signals is that room sending to your brain? Is it a place of peace or a place of stress?
Section 4. Crafting the perfect bedroom. Your sanctuary for rest. To build this sanctuary, the environment has to be just right. Keep the room quiet and keep it cool. Surprisingly, our brains are literally wired to associate cooler temperatures with nightfall and hibernation. So, a cool room paired with enough warm blankets creates the absolute perfect microclimate for deep sleep.
You also want to master the light and sound. Invest in some good curtains or maybe a comfortable eye mask to block out the morning sun. Pop in some earplugs for outside noise, control the space, and you control the rest. And this brings us to a golden rule of sleep hygiene. Your bed is for sleeping and sex only. This is all about psychological conditioning. We really want your body and your mind to subconsciously associate the physical space of that mattress purely with rest. I'm going to be a bit strict with you here, like a caring uncle. If you bring your laptop into bed to answer work emails, if you sit there paying the bills, watching loud television, or eating your dinner, you are completely confusing your brain. Your body will not learn that vital connection between the bed and sleep. It's just going to think the bed is another office or a living room. You have to protect that space fiercely.
But let's be totally honest for a second. Sometimes you do everything perfectly. You set the temperature, you skip the coffee, you protect the bed, and you still find yourself lying there wide awake, just staring into the dark. What do you do then?
Section 5. Surviving a sleepless night. Breaking the cycle of insomnia. Okay, this is called the 20-minute rule. If you've been in bed for about 20 minutes and you haven't fallen asleep, do not just lie there agonizing over it. Get up. Leave the bedroom entirely. Go sit quietly on the couch with the lights very dim. Remember, bright light tells your brain it's morning, so keep it dark. And do something incredibly boring. The researchers literally suggest reading a phone book. Avoid anything stimulating at all costs. Then, once your eyes get heavy and you actually feel tired again, only then do you return to bed and try again.
And while you're waiting for sleep in that dim room, whatever you do, do absolutely not look at the clock. Clock watching is a massive trap. Frequently checking the time only wakes you up further, especially if you have to turn on a light to see it. Even worse, it triggers a whole spiral of negative thoughts. You start doing the math in your head, right? Oh no, it's 3 a.m. I'm only going to get 4 hours of sleep. Tomorrow's going to be terrible. Hide the clock if you have to.
Now, if you're truly struggling to understand your sleep patterns, you can use a sleep diary to gather the real facts instead of just making assumptions. But here is the big warning. Because keeping a diary requires you to look at the clock, you should only use it temporarily. Use it for just 2 weeks to get a solid idea of what is happening and then put it away. Check back maybe 2 months later. We absolutely do not want to create an obsession with the time. Well, we have walked through the full 24 hours of your sleep cycle, from the morning alarm all the way to the quiet of your midnight sanctuary. It's a lot of information, I know, but it is deeply empowering. So I leave you with this one question. Tonight, which single daytime habit will you change to guarantee a more peaceful tomorrow? Are you going to skip that late afternoon coffee? Are you going to finally guard your bed from a laptop? Choose just one step tonight, my friends, and take back your rest. Thank you so much for learning with me today. May you have a beautiful, peaceful night.